How's it going, everybody? Today we got the most painful prison death ever. I didn't say that correctly at all, but I don't give a fuck. Now, I don't know if this is saying like most painful deaths of other inmates doing this to other inmates, or I don't know if this is like certain guards having certain punishment for prisoners for not having like maybe like a certain death penalty or something. But this seems pretty interesting. Joe Barlow's reacted to it, so I'm thinking it's a good video to react to. But if you guys do enjoy, let me know down in the comments down below, as well as any questions you guys have for me, because we have an upcoming Q&A soon. And like and subscribe, and let's get straight into it. As a disclaimer for this video is pretty graphic. It doesn't actually show any real signs of injury to a human body, but there are some graphic images. So if you guys do not want to watch this video, and if you guys are a little lightheaded, click off, go watch some other videos. Maybe go check out my Minecraft series, and as always, enjoy the video.
Teeth. You get booked into prison and the air feels heavier the second that steel door slams shut behind you. The cuffs come off, but all eyes are still on you. You look left to right, only to see inmates sizing you up like wolves around a wounded deer.
Not the ditty on the side.
The week you're in there, you're purely fresh meat. From getting shoved in chow lines to getting tripped in the showers, you quickly find out that in prison showing weakness is an invitation to getting beat up. So you stop. You start doing push-ups until your chest is on fire and burpees until your vision blurs. Anything heavy that you can get your hands on, you quickly start lifting. As usual, the fights keep on coming. But for once, you finally win. A few months later, people know your name. Inmates begin nodding at you in the yard. Gangs start sending some of their guys to your cell not to beat you up, but to rather invite you to their group. As usual, you stay solo, but the respect, that's yours now. You've earned it, and everybody recognizes it. It wasn't easy, but you've finally climbed the ranks of approval inside of the prison. One night, you come back to your cell, and you can't help but to feel that something's off. You look inside, only to find a scrawny newcomer sprawled out on the top of the bed. Your bed. You've been locked up long enough to know that what this man is doing is one of the biggest signs of disrespect in the prison. But the man seems ignorant to the culture. He's half asleep with his head on your pillow like he owns the place.
Hey, wake up.
Huh? Can't you see that I'm trying to catch some sleep?
Get the off my bed.
Man, it's too early for this. Just buzz off.
Everyone's watching. This is the biggest disrespect you've received in months, and you become enraged to a point where you finally decide enough's enough. You grab the scrawny man and rip him off your bunk bed, slamming him down to the floor in an instant.
Jesus.
Without wasting a second, you begin swinging at him like it's no man's business. Inmates rush out from their cells and form a crowd between the two of you, excited to see the fight take place. Your fists connect over and over, and cheers erupt around you from all types of prisoners. You lock him in a tight headlock, with your muscles bulging. He's flailing aimlessly, with snot and tears dripping from his eyes and nose. Gang leaders begin placing bets on who'll win the fight for fun, but it's obvious. You're winning easily. And then, it happens. A pain so sharp and blinding that it doesn't feel real. You really don't want to look, but
what?
you look anyways in pure disbelief. It wasn't just a gut feeling, your brain was right. The dude is literally biting your nose. You scream like a banshee. It's a sound you can't even recognize coming from yourself. But right now, you don't care. You begin to claw, punch, and bash on him. Unfortunately, however, you only find that the more you hit him, the harder the bite becomes.
That is the freakiest thing I've ever
When you start to feel
seen.
tissue rip, your punches turn into desperate pleas for him to stop. He doesn't listen. The crowd isn't cheering anymore, and even the veterans look sick. You begin begging for the guards to intervene, but by the time they rush in and rip him off you, it's too late. You're found convulsing on the floor, unresponsive, with
Jesus,
life-threatening.
I was not expecting that at all. Holy fuck. That is like one of the worst oh my god, I can't even imagine how bad that would be.
Injuries. Medical staff does their absolute best to save you, but you're broken in a way that can't be undone. This incident took place in Ghana during 2021. Both individuals got into an altercation that led to this shamelessly terrifying fight. The suspect that committed the
One prisoner. Oh my god. This is in a different language, so it's a like I can come out some words, but I can't. That's crazy though. Who does that? I mean, to show your dominance, but that's the freakiest thing you could do for showing, you're the man.
crime was taken to
Jesus.
court again, where he'd received judgment for his attack. Always remember to protect your jewels. The freezer incident.
Oh gosh.
On January 12th, a the 33-year-old man would be taken to the Walker County Jail, confused, malnourished, and sick.
So I'm guessing this is like stuff that's happened between inmates, not including with Wait, did he die from that? Not including the guards. If he died from that, that's insane. Because it didn't say he technically died. I might have not been paying attention, but it says most painful prison deaths. So he might have been alive, but like the mental strain off that might have just killed him internally.
His cousin had called for help, hoping that the police would bring an ambulance and give him medical assistance. However, the sheriff's deputies arrived to the scene first, and they reported that the man brandished a weapon and let off a round towards the officers before running into a forest. When they finally apprehended him, he was seen to be malnourished and in a state of total delirium, with his only comments being incoherent babbles about portals in hell. Instead of taking the man to the hospital, the officers would lock him in a cold booking cell and remove his clothes for whatever reason. From the moment the door clanged shut, the cold began eating at him. It seeped into his bones, turned his skin to goose flesh, and made his teeth chatter until his jaw ached. Each breath fogged in the air like it was Christmas night, and the man began shivering so violently that it hurt.
How do you even find a place that cold? That's insane. Because like obviously there is in the forest. I mean obviously it's a stock picture, so it's not exactly what it looks like. But instead of just taking him, to the hospital or an insane asylum or even the police station, they just find this cold ass, dark, depressing room and just chuck him in there. Where the hell is this
Officer
place?
would state that this treatment was fitting, since the man fired a weapon at the officers.
You didn't kill him. So, you know what? If you shoot at us, obviously cops, if they need to do it, they'll do it. But if you shoot at them, we're going to put you in a freezing cold bunker area, it looks like, until your jaw comes off from shivering your teeth.
Other jailers even said that the cops should have just fired at him, instead of bringing him back to the jail alive. Days passed without food, warmth, or medical treatment for his mental state.
Jesus.
Until one day, he was finally taken out of the cell. However, it would be for anything but a good reason. Despite being in a freezing cold cell with temperatures that dropped below 30 degrees for nearly a week, officers still thought that these conditions were too comfortable for him. To the man's complete horror, they wanted to lock him in the jail's kitchen freezer. They would rip him out of his cell and tase him so violently that he'd lose his dentures in the process. With his wrists and ankles shackled, they would throw the man in a metal restraint chair, tie him down, and leave him in the freezer. The air inside was biting. Any ounce of heat his body may have maintained before was sapped instantly. His body burned with fever, then chilled again, as if it couldn't decide whether to fight or surrender. The hum of the refrigeration unit filled the silence. His fingers stiffened, his lips turned blue, and the man froze with every second in that chair, feeling like hours. When they moved him back to the holding cell, the floor was littered with trash. He lay there motionless, ribs showing, breath shallow. A nurse appeared briefly, stood at the doorway, then turned off the light and left him in darkness. Guards passed his cell, some stopping to look, others just walking by. Not one brought him clothes. After enduring 2 weeks of pure horror, the officers took him to a hospital. A human's normal body temp is supposed to be about 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit. But when they brought him in, he was only breathing 2 breaths per minute with a pulse that was nearly non-existent, and his body temperature shockingly read 72 degrees Fahrenheit. Doctors tried to warm him up and did their absolute best to push his body back from the edge, but sadly enough, it was too late. In the official report, officers would lie and say that he was completely fine when he left the jail, and that hypothermia is what caused this outcome. But in truth, they froze him alive. Thankfully, 10 jail staff members would all be tried and charged in relation to this incident.
That's like
Let
torture.
situations like these encourage you to know the law and your rights as a civilian well. And also, let it serve as a reminder for people like you and I to refuse to look the other way whenever those in power treat humans with cruelty. Napalm.
Oh God.
First, you do enough favors from other prisoners for them to buy you some peanut butter from the commissary. Then you eat up the peanut butter and lick the jar clean and keep it concealed. After that, you steal some sugar from the jail's kitchen and strong cleaning materials like bleach or ammonia.
Bleach.
Once you've got all your materials,
I actually
head back
started
to the
watching this,
kitchen
so this
and
is not
bribe
that
the
bad.
prisoner working kitchen duty.
It's actually not that bad. I know it's like a longer running show. It's not that bad. animation's a little old, but I know they took a long break and then they started making it, so that's why the animation nowadays is like really good for that specific show. But I watched like a good 50 episodes. I haven't got like really into it. The anime that I'm really into right now is Dan. I even got like manga for it, but it was pretty cool. This one I don't really know what napalm is. I don't really know, but the last one, that's like literal torture. I don't know if you can get any worse than that, but I guess we're gonna find out.
To have access to stove and pots inside. Then, quickly cook yourself some boiling hot water and slowly pour it into your peanut butter jar so that it doesn't melt and warp the container. Finally, sneak the boiling hot water back to your cell and mix the rest of your ingredients inside of it. And when you see your enemy sitting down to eat his lunch, attack. This concoction is called prison napalm, and it's one of the most dangerous yet common weapons used within US prisons. This horrific mixture splashes onto you and sticks to you.
First, a boiled sugar solution used as salt in prisons. Although this boiled sugar solutions has a capacity to keep deep burns than boiled water alone. Damn, this effect is due to a higher intentional temperature of burn. That's how do they even have access to that? Like when they're just doing, because I'm saying obviously they're gonna do certain chores where they're gonna be in the kitchen making food, but how do the cops not just be like, that guy's putting boiling water in a cup? Probably should do something about that. But no, I'm just gonna go play Fortnite. Like, bro, go do something about it.
Your skin while burning the living hell out of your body.
Oh my god.
It's difficult to get off, and it keeps on burning you long after the attack is over because of its stickiness. Hence why it's called prison napalm. In August 2013, a 24-year-old man would be sentenced to 20 years of prison for mistakenly targeting an innocent young girl in an act of violence that would tragically be the cause of her passing.
Oh, jeez.
With the community absolutely enraged about this, people outside of the prison would put a $13,000 bounty on his head for the prisoners to deal away with him. After a series of unsuccessful attacks, the man would be placed in a protection cell with 2 other inmates. But horrifically enough, at around 11 p.m., the man would prepare to go to bed when one of the inmates in the cell quickly pinned him down to the floor, while the other magically revealed a steaming hot concoction of, yep, you guessed it, prison napalm. What makes this case terrifying is that the men didn't just throw and splash the napalm on him, like how it's normally supposed to be used. They began slowly pouring the boiling hot liquid down his throat, causing severe injury to the man's internals. Afterwards, they poured the rest of it on his face, eyes, lips, and teeth.
Jesus Christ.
Officers would quickly intervene, but upon glimpse of the man, they would report that he bared a horrifyingly similar resemblance to a real-life zombie. So, with that being said, stay in school, follow your passions, and please, for the love of all that's good, don't end up in jail.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be an issue for me ending up there, but if it does, that's like my worst nightmare probably. I don't think it's going to happen because I'm a pretty good guy, I don't think I make that many mistakes, and mistakes enough that will lead you there, I don't think I will ever make. But if you guys did enjoy, like I said before, put in the comments down below of any questions you guys have for me, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. And as always, have a good